You step off the escalator and wait a second. The carpet under your feet? Soft. Music in the air? Calming. Lights? Warm, but not too bright. You were rushing 5 minutes ago. Now you're strolling. That's not a coincidence. Airports aren't just built to get you from check-in to gate. They're built to make you spend. Every cent, every sign, every little "your gate is only 8 minutes away" reminder is part of a giant behavioral maze designed to nudge your choices and your wallet. So if you've ever walked out of a terminal with a $17 sandwich you didn't need or a bottle of cologne you never meant to buy, don't blame impulse. Blame the layout. Let's break down the hidden strategies that airports use to steer your behavior, starting with the one right beneath your feet. You've heard it your whole life. Arrive 2 hours early for domestic, 3 for international. Sounds reasonable, right? Account for traffic, long TSA lines, maybe grab a coffee before your gate. But here's the part they don't tell you. Those early arrivals aren't just for your peace of mind. They're for your spending potential. The longer you're stuck past security with nothing but time, the more likely you are to buy something. Maybe it's that overpriced trail mix, or a travel pillow that out of nowhere feels like a necessity, or that shiny bottle of cologne you try on 3 times and somehow end up taking home. Airports and airlines know this. In fact, some airports even partner directly with shops to increase what they call dwell time, that sweet spot between clearing security and hearing "now boarding." And how do they stretch it? By opening check-in counters earlier, by recommending you arrive way ahead of schedule. And, here's the kicker, by offering very few food options after security. So now you're early, you're bored, you're a little bit hungry, and you've got 90 minutes to kill before boarding. That $14 sandwich you'd never touch in the real world somehow starts looking pretty good. Airlines say it's for your peace of mind, but it might be more about peace of profit. You've made it through TSA, you've wrestled your belt off, dug out your laptop, had your dignity checked along with your backpack. Now you're free. Or so it seems. Because what's waiting just past security isn't just a place to catch your breath. It's a retail trap dressed up as a peaceful lounge. They call it the recomposure zone. Soft lighting, clean floors, quiet music. But the calm isn't for your benefit. It's strategy. Your brain is drained from security, your guard is down, and that's when you're most persuadable. That $80 cologne you never meant to sniff, suddenly worth a second whiff. Ever noticed how you always seem to slow down after security? That's not you being relaxed. That's you being guided, gently, deliberately, into shopping mode. And look around. Is it even possible to get to your gate without walking through duty-free? Exactly. That's by design too. Most terminals route passengers through the shops, sometimes in literal circles, because more steps mean more chances to buy. Even the layout works against you. Duty-free aisles often curve to the left. Why? Because most people pull their carry-on with the right hand, naturally turning their head and their attention to the right, straight into retail displays. Now throw in some greenery, a massage chair, maybe a nap pod, all to make you feel relaxed. And research shows relaxed people spend more. That's not theory. That's airport architecture at work. Oh, and those little signs that say Gate C14, 8-minute walk, that's not about helping you. It's about slowing you down, making you feel like you've got time to browse, time to grab a snack you're not hungry for. And when your flight's delayed, airports know. Data shows that just 1 hour of delay can push average passenger spending up by $7. So the next time you find yourself wandering through sleek stores under soft lights, ask yourself, are you shopping or are you being shopped? On paper, it looks efficient. Boarding in groups keeps things organized, right? First the priority folks, then group 1, group 2, all the way to group, whatever you ended up with. But let's be honest, boarding groups aren't just about logistics. They're about status. Or more precisely, the feeling of not having it. That little number printed on your boarding pass, it's not just a sequence, it's a silent ranking system. And the second you see Group 2 stroll past while you're still stuck behind a stanchion in Group 7, something stings a little. What was just a line to board a plane turns into a quiet contest of who's more important, who gets the overhead bin space, who deserves to sit down first and settle in. And guess what follows that sting? Offers. Upgrade to priority boarding for $29. Get early access with our airline credit card. Want to feel like Group 2? We can sell you that feeling. You weren't buying convenience. You were buying relief from discomfort they built in. The more groups they invent, the more people feel like they're at the bottom. And the more likely they are to pay their way up just to feel normal again. That sting you feel when Group 3 breezes past, it's not bad luck. It's by design. You finally made it to your gate. You're tired, maybe a little bored, so you do what everyone does, pull out your phone, tap free airport Wi-Fi, and boom, you're back online. No password, no hassle. Feels like a win. Until you read the fine print. Or, more likely, you just tap accept and move on. Because behind that friendly little connect button, you're trading more than you think. Most airport Wi-Fi networks don't just want to get you online. They want your email, your phone number, your data trail. And in exchange, they serve you targeted ads. Sometimes right there in the terminal, sometimes weeks later when you're back home wondering why a perfume ad is following you across Instagram. Or maybe even sooner, like that time you scrolled through Instagram and a pop-up offered 10% off the sandwich shop, 30 steps from where you were sitting. But it doesn't stop at ads. The moment you connect, they know where you are. Near gate A12, sitting idle, browsing, which makes you the perfect candidate for a limited time offer on lounge access, or a last-minute insurance bundle, or maybe that overpriced snack you just walked past 10 minutes ago. And if you gave them your number, don't be surprised when a special boarding group upgrade shows up in your texts, or an exclusive lounge pass pings your WhatsApp. None of this is illegal. In fact, it's smart business. But just remember, if something's labeled free in an airport, odds are you're paying for it some other way. So if you can, use a VPN, or better yet, tether from your phone's hotspot and keep your data yours. Because the real cost of free Wi-Fi, you only notice it once it's already following you home. You're heading to your gate when it hits you. I'll need cash for the taxi when I land. Right on cue, there's an ATM glowing next to a Starbucks, practically waving at you. You slide in your card, grab $100 and keep moving. Fast, simple, and way more expensive than you realize. Take my friend Mark. He was flying to Rome with a layover at JFK. Used an ATM at the terminal, pulled out $100, and a week later, his bank statement showed $112 gone. Why the extra 12? Well, the machine charged him a usage fee up front. Then his bank tacked on a foreign transaction fee, and buried in the fine print, a lousy exchange rate that tipped the total even higher. The final amount hit like a sting, $12 gone before he even left the terminal. Mark didn't do anything unusual. He just did what tired, rushed travelers do, trusted a glowing screen in a crowded terminal. And that's exactly what those machines count on. Most airport ATMs aren't run by your bank. They're placed by third-party companies, targeting people who are jet-lagged, unfamiliar with the fees, and in no mood to compare conversion rates. Some don't even show you the real cost unless you dig through multiple menus. And when that cheery little prompt asks, "Do you accept our conversion?" That's not help. That's bait. Smart move? Say no. Always decline the ATM's exchange rate and let your bank handle the math. Or even better, don't use the machine at all. Grab your cash before you head to the airport, or just use a travel credit card that skips foreign fees altogether. Because that shiny ATM by Gate 22, it's not just handing you money, it's cashing in on your jet lag. You show up on time, boarding pass in hand. The gate area is packed. People are eyeing the overhead bin space like it's Black Friday, and then comes the announcement, "We're looking for volunteers to take a later flight." Translation? The plane is full, but they sold more seats than there are actual seats. And no, that's not a glitch. It's the business model. Airlines have decades of data showing that a few passengers will always miss their flights, so they overbook, just enough to cover those expected no-shows. But when everyone actually shows up, now it's damage control. Here's where things get interesting. The first offer might sound meh, maybe a $200 voucher. But wait a little. Watch what happens when no one bites. $400, $600, $1,200 plus hotel, meal credits, maybe even a seat upgrade on the next flight. It turns into a mini auction, and the longer you hold your nerve, the sweeter the prize. If you've got wiggle room in your schedule, this is your golden moment. But don't raise your hand too fast. Let the numbers climb. And if you agree to give up your seat, get everything in writing. Your new flight, the compensation, and a seat assignment that's not stuck in the middle of row 33. Now, on the flip side, if you don't want to be the one left behind, show up early. Check in online. Choose your seat, even if it costs a few bucks. Because when a flight is oversold, the people without seat assignments are often the first to get bumped. And here's something most travelers don't know. If you're bumped involuntarily, federal law entitles you to real money, not just a voucher. Depending on your delay, it could be up to 4 times the price of your one-way ticket, capped at $1,550. But you have to know to ask. Overbooking isn't going away. It's a gamble. Airlines play every single day. But every now and then, if you know how to play your cards right, you can walk away a winner. You land from your connecting flight. You know exactly where to go. It's printed right there on your boarding pass. Gate B22. You head there, grab a seat, maybe even zone out for a bit. Then the clock ticks. People aren't showing up. You double-check the board, and surprise, your gate was changed. No alert, no text, no announcement you actually heard. And just like that, your flight's boarding across the terminal. Gate changes happen. Airports are a puzzle of moving planes, delays, and crew swaps. But here's where it gets sketchy. Sometimes they don't tell everyone, not right away. Why would they do that? Because it gives them cover. See, if a flight is overbooked and they need to thin the herd, letting a few passengers miss the new gate quietly is a convenient solution. No drama, no formal bump, no federal compensation. You were technically at the airport, but not at the right place at the right time. That's on you, or so they say. It's a tactic that insiders call passive offloading. Miss your new gate? They give your seat to someone else and shrug, "Sorry, you didn't show." Suddenly, your whole trip depends on how many times you refreshed the departures screen. So what can you do? Check the gate, then check again. Don't rely solely on the app. Don't assume no news is good news. And if your flight changes last minute without proper notification, ask for a written explanation. Screenshot everything. You might need it if things go sideways, because sometimes a gate change is just logistics. And sometimes it's a very polite way to make you disappear. You're browsing flights. Nothing urgent, just checking dates, maybe planning a trip to New York next month. Then it flashes on the screen. Only one seat left at this price. Your heart skips. What started as casual browsing now feels like a race. You weren't even sure you were going, but now, if you don't book in the next 20 seconds, it feels like you're losing something big. Airlines know how to trigger FOMO better than any online store. That one seat left message? It rarely means the last seat on the plane. It just means the last seat in that particular fare class, and the next tier might only be $10 higher. But by the time you figure that out, you've already clicked buy. It's not lying, but it's not the full story either. And the psychological trick doesn't stop there. Pair that with a non-refundable fare, a countdown timer, and bold red font. And before you realize it, you're buying a $400 ticket for a trip you hadn't even confirmed with your boss. So how do you fight back? Try this. Open an incognito window. Search the same flight again. Still only one seat? It's probably not true scarcity. It's programmed pressure. Sites like Google Flights or Kayak show pricing trends without the dramatics. And some airlines, like American, let you hold a fare for 24 hours without paying. No panic clicking. No buyer's remorse. Because that bright red warning isn't there to save you money. It's there to take control of your decision. You're almost at your gate. The flight board's in 20 minutes. You've made it through the maze of food courts and seating zones, and just as you're about to keep walking, there it is. The glowing, perfume-scented wonderland that is the duty-free shop. It promises exclusive savings, no tax, international luxury, Unlocked. Feels like a reward just for showing up with a passport. But here's the thing. Duty-free isn't really about discounts. It's about identity. After all the security lines, the boarding group drama, the overpriced coffee, you finally reach a place that feels elevated. The lights are warmer, the shelves are shinier, and for a moment, you're not just a tired traveler, you're someone who deserves to treat themselves. That $95 skincare set? It's not cheaper here. You could probably find it online for less with free shipping. But that's not the point. Duty-free isn't selling products, it's selling a story where buying something makes your airport stress feel worthwhile. And when spending becomes emotional, logic goes quiet. Yes, there are a few good deals. Alcohol, tobacco, maybe, but that luxury watch or that limited edition fragrance? You're not saving money, you're buying a moment. A small, scented declaration that says, I travel. I reward myself, I'm worth it. Just make sure you're not also buying a problem, like grabbing a full-size bottle of perfume right before you hit a second security check at your connecting flight. It happens, and TSA doesn't care how nice it smells, because that $100 impulse gift to yourself might end up in the bin with your dignity. So the next time you find yourself drifting through a terminal, tempted by something shiny, limited, or just conveniently placed, pause. Ask yourself if it's really a choice, or if it's just really good design. Because once you know how airports are built to steer you, you start walking a little differently. You buy less on impulse. You move with intention. And that, in a place built to make you spend, is kind of a quiet victory. If this video made you rethink how you move through an airport, or reminded you of that one ridiculous thing you bought on layover, tell me in the comments. I want to hear your best airport I did what moments. And if you want more tips like this, without the travel brochure sugarcoating, stick around. We've got plenty more coming.